We also want to hear from you. So please ensure you are with us here. And if we call your name and you are not here, then we will know that you are not with us. You are against us. All right. Okay. So all right. That's the outline. Let's just move forward. So I'll just briefly and quickly say this that what then do we refer to as talent? Okay, so talent for us, I mean, or for me, is a natural attitude and inner quality that emerges effortlessly. Sometimes we could relate talent to potentials. Okay, we could relate it to potential, but talent is exceptionally natural ability, especially in particular activity. Okay, now when we talk about talent, we're not talking about the fact that you are a genius person. We're just talking about something that comes to you that that different, that unique, and make you stand out. Okay, and everybody has got one. Okay, the challenge is, but maybe we've not been able to discover it or be able to identify which really is our own skill or talent, and that's what it general description of what we refer to as talent. The exceptional ability, natural. Okay, so and you can see from what Dr. put there that some people are just gifted, and then when you give them the mic, they don't need to wait for you to tell them. They can just run the scales and all of that. Okay, so some people can sing very well, like I said, and they can maneuver and what have you, and some are very good in football. Okay, and that's just for them skill, of course. Yes, even when they still need some developmental effort, but the fact is that they have that deposited in them. All right, so the talent. Okay, when we now relate it to possibly the business or whatever you say, a talent is an employee who possesses the potential to drive organizational growth. Okay, an employee that is a star performer, one who delivers efficiently and effectively on his or her assigned tasks. Okay, then the last one here by workforce group says some organization, HR professionals and recruiters regard the entire workforce of an organization as a talent. All right, to them talent is a generic name for employee. Others prefer to limit the use of word to refer to people who are skilled or capable of performing a certain task or function. Now, so putting all together, what am I saying in essence? Talent, therefore, is a sum up of saying, look, it is in two categories. For instance, we have the entire workforce of the organization. Everyone that exists or work or identify with that system, we refer to them as talent. But to the other part of it, the exceptional part of it, we now refer to it. Look, those that are doing more, that are star performers. Now you agree with me. In every organization, some organization will say staff of the week, staff of the month, staff of the year, because of their exceptional contributions. Okay, and that again will lead us to the point to say that look, in an organization, in a system, in a process, it is believed that you get your promotions because of what you have contributed to the system. Mark me, or mark that. The fact is that I know there could be some level of favoritism. Some people will say they are close to the management, the top management. It's okay, but if you look at the ratio, because some people they believe, the perception is that if you are not close to the top management, you won't get promotion. But if you look at the ratio in our organizations, even those that seem to be favored, they still have something to contribute. The percentage of people that are favored, that some seem to not have anything to contribute, are minimal. Because no business owner will say, I want to favor you because you are my friend, you are my boy, you are my this, you are my that, over and above someone that is exceptional good on their job. Okay, so everybody, you're out of 5, maybe you have one that is favored. The other 4, it is believed that they are strong, and the remaining one that is favored will just be there, and the other 4 can still pull through. So nobody. And the truth again is that for every one of us that there exists or work with organization, we are talented. Like I said earlier, it's just that we've not been able to sometimes be able to put our talent to action or to practice. Okay, and then we'll get deep in this, and then we'll probably get some more clarity as we go. Okay, so talent represents, okay, the skill. Okay, I said the ability to use one's knowledge effectively and readily in execution of performance. Now again, I said to people, in these three in these 3 elements, what is the order of priority for you? I said knowledge, skill, and attitude. You can put KSA, you can write it down somewhere. Now I said knowledge, skill, and attitude. Which one? All right, which one caught it for you? Which one, in order of priority, which one will you put first? Now I would like people to drop in the chat room. You drop in your own order of priority, knowledge, skill, and attitude. Which one comes for you first? Which one is the second? All right, but I say to people, now when we talk about skill, or we talk about knowledge, really, let me start from knowledge. Most of us get our job based on what we know in terms of informations, all right? I mean, let me say, maybe not absolutely 100%, but when you go for interview, your knowledge is tested. What is your understanding? What information do you have at your disposal? It's tested an interview about the job you have applied for. Okay? A lot more people get that job because of their skill. Okay? The skill will relate to your experience, your expertise. Okay? The things that are inherent that you have that enhance your knowledge. Okay? A whole lot more of people get that job because of attitude. In fact, the basic line is that to get promotion, it's more about your attitude, and that will take you to what we call emotional intelligence. So you get that job based on what you know, but you will get the promotion based on what you can deliver or what you have delivered. All right? So when you now break down talent, and when you look at talent, you realize that all of these three are very, very important for us as people. And that's why I put here, you look at skill, you look at your ability and capability, you look at your knowledge, and you look at your performance. Okay? And I say to people, see, in the whole lot, you might see crowd, the workplace shouldn't be a competitive environment. It should be a complementary environment in actual fact. But again, everybody will be assessed and everybody will be evaluated. So a lot more about what you contribute to the system will be what you will use to assess you or to now be able to define you. And the truth is it, whether you are a fresh graduate or you are a career progressive person, at every point of your career, journey, there will always be that evaluation. There will be that assessment. Okay? And there will always be that discovery of your best placed position. How do I mean? Let's take it as an HR people. Okay? A lot of what we claim that we are generalists. Okay? We claim that we are generalists. And when we say we are generalists, and there will always be that point that we will be saddled with certain responsibility. It could be compensation and benefit to what have you. It could be recruitment. It could be learning and development. Okay? And the honest truth is that you know that there's a part of, the value chain of HR or the specialties, that's a place where your strength lies. Okay? In your journey through your career progression, that will eventually be discovered. And then you know. Now, it does not mean that you could not still be the group HR or general HR. But you also know that you have that strength. Now, what will give you that promotion is not only about your skill or specialization in HR now. It's not going to be about your leadership. Okay, it's going to be more about your leadership. Okay, because at that point, we are not looking at what you can do as an individual. We are looking at what you can do by leading a team. Okay, so you realize that your technical capacity or strength will be relevant, but what will be more relevant will be what? Your skill, which is now going to lead to like some level of your talent. Now, let's look at what's on my screen. I put Lionel Messi here. I'm not totally a really football fan like that, but I watch, and I'm of Chelsea extraction. Nobody should laugh, even though we are not doing fine, but don't worry. We can always bounce back, okay? All right, but the truth about this guy is that, he's a footballer, if you put it generally. But he has able to prove his skill, suffice to say his talent. And where to place him in the whole situation, the whole football field. He has where you replace him. He has what he does for the entire team. So he's been singled out, all right, from the whole team to say, look, this guy is good here, and this is what he will do. So when you put him in any team, you can almost predict or expect the likely performance. Again, remember I said in the team, because you can't do it alone. So when you place that sort of person in a team, you're likely going to know or be able to determine or expect what will be the outcome of such individual. Okay, because for us too, our talent could be personal, but the effectiveness utilization of our talent will not be personal. We have to work in a system. we work in a process. We work among all the team members. Okay, so let's go to this. The talent management. So talent management is strategic focus about attracting, developing, and retaining workforce. Okay, so I've been able to lay a foundation about talent, as it were, and then be able to let us understand that, look, the truth is that everyone has got one talent or the other. And by talent, I mean everybody has gotten certain skills, certain technical capacity, certain knowledge, certain, potentials that you can really deliver or exhibit in your career or in your place of work. Now, how do we then manage this talent? Okay, and that's when I talked about earlier. I mentioned earlier, look, your talent will be personal, but the utilization and effective delivery or deployment of your talent will not be within a team. Okay, so then how do we manage when you now have more, how do you place it? I say different, diverse talents. You have to work with diverse talent. You have to work with so many people. All right, you have to work with so many people. How do you then be able to place these talents? Okay, how do you place this talent? What do you do? How do you go about it? And that's what we're trying to look at right now. So talent management is strategic. It must be strategic. Okay, because why? It's fundamental to the development and an advancement of the business. Recently I dropped an article and I said, look, when you look at the entire organization, there are 3 categories of people that are very important. You look at the entire organization and look at all the resources. Okay, when I mention the resources, I mean men, material, machine, and what have you that you want to talk about. Okay, and I said there's a particular set of people that are very important in that can run that organization and that can also advance that organization. And who are they? I talk about the owner, supposedly say the entrepreneur, and I talk about the staffers. Okay, and then I look at the customers. These 3 set of people are very fundamental, but again, you have the place for the staffer, the employees. Okay, and that's what we are looking at now. So because how do you manage all of these people, all right, in the system? Okay, and the point here that you want to achieve is to attract the best of the talent through your recruitment process, through your placement process. Now, you want to work with those talents and get them developed and then ensure that your attrition is minimized. Okay, so talent management is the full scope of HR processes to attract on board, develop, motivate, retain high-performing employees. Now, again, there's that conversation that people ask for certain age, certain category of people, certain this, certain that. Okay, and then but people forget that, look, the number of people that are also been given opportunity that are gray on, okay, people that are new entrant to the system, that have been given privileges, okay, to join the system without experiences, okay, are also there. And sometimes you realize that some of them are also not taking that advantage to have also grown such that you can say, okay, these people were given, and that is why you see employers craving for an experienced talent. But again, we'll get to that. How do we then get by to that? So talent management is aimed at improving business performance through the practice that make employee more productive. So if you look at that last paragraph, which talk about is also aimed at improving the business, because ultimately the bottom line, is about the bottom line. It's about ROI. The essence of talent development, the essence of talent attraction, the essence strategic talent management is about the bottom line for the business owner, and that's what we are doing. I mean, that's what it's all about. So let's look at it. So we look at the talent must be identified. So if you have to attract the right talent now, so it must be identified, okay, acquired, developed, and then deploy. So this process is one process that you can go through or go with to able to achieve, all right, your acquisition process in terms of attracting the right talent. So how do you identify them? Okay, and then get them on board, because acquiring them, everybody has got a price. The good, the not so good, the best of the best, and everybody have got a price. Okay, and that's again for me, but be one of the things we do in our firm, recruitment, and I've seen, all kind of, negotiation and what have you, because everybody has got a price. Okay, and then again, even at that, there's still need for that development, and then before we also deploy further. And then let's go into it again. I said, look, the talent management has to look at get people ready for the role in the business. Okay, evaluate and understand the existing talent, find the right people, invest in the right people. All of these 4 components are also very important. When we bring people on board, okay, we bring them on board with the mindset that, look, these people are going to be part of this system, grow this system, develop this system, and be able to sustain that system. Because from acquisition to succession is the journey. From acquisition to the succession is the journey. So how do we then be able to ensure that at the point of entry, we get the best, and then the company can be able to be sustained? Because at a point, some people will circle out for different reasons. But let me say the best of reasons is retirement. Okay? So then when there are retirement, how do we ensure that we still have people in the business that can sustain the business? Many businesses have collapsed because there are not good enough people to sustain the business. And so when it appears that the good hands, especially when that kind of what happened in the generality of our space that we call a cabal model appears or showed up in a management process, you find out that people begin to exit. And when people exit, it assumes that they feel that by the time people that seems to be in the cabal, as it were, all right, get certain level, they will also have to retire. And then you see that to sustain that business is always a problem. And I've seen a lot of businesses like that they have to struggle to be able to get in new challenge. And the challenge there again is that there's always that gap, generational gap, okay, which will now be another problem. Because an average employee will look at the oldest age in the system and like, wow, why how did they get to this point that the gap is so wide that they just trying to begin to realize to bring in new people? So these are some of the responsibility for us as talent managers. Okay, and that's what again we are trying to see how we can get by. Let's move forward. Okay, so again, I have here, excuse me, the talent management process, and I want us to look at this critically. Now, at the point of attracting or acquiring, we need to specify the kind of skill we want. Now, the skill we want must be relevant or based on the needs. Now, before, of course, yes, in the process of even specifying the skill, we will have done our gap analysis, talent gap analysis. We will have done our assessment or need assessment, looking at the whole system. And this part is one of the strategic responsibility of HR, and that's why I like the word when we call ourselves, for those of us that are HR, as a business partners, because we are meant to look at the entire system and look occasionally at the talent composition of the entire system and look at the dynamics of what we have in the system. And because when we do that in advance, we're able to play before the management. Look, from my own personal assessment or from our assessment of the composition of the talent in the system, we have observed that. And that can prompt the management to begin to see that, look, we need to begin to take some drastic action, because we don't have to wait until when we have exodus, when we have a huge exit of people. We need to be very conscious and be very intentional about how we want to be able to bridge this gap. So when you must have done your need assessment as to where do we really need people, why do we need people? Is it because of expansion? Okay, so if you are bringing in people, what are they going to be used for? So we do that, specify the skills that we really need, because we don't want to also just pack people and then have almost similar skills all through. We want to be sure we have diverse skills. Okay, so specify the skills, then attract the right people. Now, how do we then attract the right people? Let me say this to us. One of the things we must know or be reminded of is the fact that, look, the people that want to join us are of different categories too. There are people that they need a job. Let me say they are desperate to just get employment. Okay, so they are there in the pool. There are people that they have their specification of where they want to go. And most times we want to attract such kind of people that we know that they are good, they are performers wherever they are right now. But we also now need to look inward as to our own system. What do we do presently with the talents we have? Do we think the way we treat the talent we have right now, we attract the best of talent for us from the people that we are looking at? So that's also very important. So how do we attract them? When we attract them, of course, we go through the recruitment processes, go through certain evaluations, and then we go through, but they will also in turn research us to find out. Let me share this. Recently, we were going to get a head of HR for a firm, a company, one of our clients, a manufacturing company. And then we have been on this recruitment process with our client for about 3 months. Now, there was a little bit of dragging, but nevertheless, we wanted to be thorough, or they wanted to be thorough. They wanted to be thorough to be sure that they get the best guy. Now, the guy narrowed down, we engaged that guy for about 2 months. Now, by the time the guy was given the offer letter, the guy then turned it down. And I said to the guy, look, why will you give us this stress of going through this process for about 3-4 months, and then you will resign, or you will reject the offer? And then I spoke to my client. What happened? They said I should just engage the guy to get them know what exactly are the issues, that they are also open to negotiation if that was the problem. Now, but in the whole process, I realized that now the guy said from his research about the company, he realized that for a particular position, people exit so soon. That the longest person that has stayed longer in that particular capacity is 3 years, and so he's a bit worried. And then from information he has gathered, okay, and then we now have a roundtable discussion. But it appears the guy has made up his mind. What am I trying to bring out here? What we do with our existing talent also we have a huge effect on the kind of people that we call the right people we want to attract. So then we have our onboarding process. Even when we get the right people. Now, let me say this about onboarding. A lot of us take it for granted. Please let's not take it for granted. I'm happy today is an induction of new members. And this is one of the onboarding process. So that you can have some insight, have some knowledge about the organization, and then be able to also gain some skill that will also enhance your capacity development. Now, our onboarding process should be thorough. We should be intentional. I will share my own personal experience. Joining one of the multinationals when I was in employment. I have to, my onboarding process was few, let me just even say few hours. Let me just put it like that, few hours. And then there are some unanswered questions. There are some things I need to know. I have to be searching for it myself. One of the things I asked for was, can I see the staff manual, the handbook? And then they said, oh, they don't have it readily. It took me about 1-2 years in that system before I even cite one. Because I now became inquisitive because I realized that people always quote certain things. And I realized that I'm missing someone, so also missing certain things. So I have to search for it. And if I must be the best of the best hand in this system, why should information be hidden from me? So I think when we do onboarding process, we must be thorough. We must talk about what I call the product knowledge. What is the product knowledge? It talks about the entire organization. It talks about the business of the organization. It talks about the sector, the industry of the organization. It talks about the system and process of the organization. It talks about who is in the organizations. It even talk about your customers and your competitions. There's need for everybody to have a good information because you can't give what you don't have. So for us, as talent managers, as HR professionals, we must be thorough in our onboarding process. Now, this is it. We may not be able to dedicate weeks, days, because we can be busy, we have operations. But that some of them can even be done within an hour. Some of them can be done virtually. There's no need for that. Okay, so we do our onboarding process because I've seen that a lot of other staff, a lot of people too have also missed it. A lot of people also get it wrong because they've not been able to put into the system right way. Anybody we are attracting to the system, we are attracting them because we want them to contribute their best. And then we can be able to get a better result and performance. So let's not underrate the fact that we need to do that. Now, again, strategize to retain the best talent. Now, one of the things we can also do that will also be essential for us in attracting and retaining the best hand are things that can enhance. Now, if I had to go to that, we will not leave here, but there's a part of this slide that we do a little more, justice to that. But let's go on. Now, hold, perform, appraisal. Look, if there's anything I like people being evaluated, people being assessed. Now, I've said to people, look, your assessment or evaluation is not to condemn it or to mesmerize you. No, It is to let us know how well you are doing on your job and where you need help. So for me, I do what I call personal appraisals. So and I think for us as HR, we should not make it look like is that aspect of our process that's going to kill you or we want to condemn you. No. It should be something to be able to see what more can you do, where more can you be better, and who is doing well that can be appreciated. So we must do that. It's part of what gives, there's a way you give some psychological help, support, and improvement for employees. Then again, when you have done your appraisals, you're first going to see some gap. You're going to see some situations that probably need to cover up quickly, and then you can organize what we call learning and development. Most times we also say, go for training. What kind of training are we giving people? What do we intend to achieve with that training? So when we say ROI, what's going to be the return on investment on that training? So everybody wants to go for training because it's their right. And I remember one of my employment, I told them, well, you're not sending me to training. And I took it up to the MD. I said, why am I not being sent to training? And they said to me, look, we look at your performance. And so we are looking for a particular training that will fit in for you. Because I said, well, but you are sending my colleagues. I said, you can't go for that training because already you look like from your performance, you are doing better than that training. So we're looking for a specific, that's okay, that's better. Don't just send me to training. Send me to training that will engage and challenge me, that will be able to do better. And that we must be very deliberate about that. Even if, for instance, we have 5 staff or staffers in certain department, and they are all qualified to be trained. But of course, they will not be qualified to be trained for same particular training. We can break the training. Let them go for the training that already enhance them. But otherwise, if you send people for training, one, it's only going to be a waste of money because they already have that skill, they already have that capacity. So let's be deliberate. And then when we train people, what are we planning for? We are planning for growth, we are planning for expansion, we are planning for advancement of the business, so that we can also have be able to retain people, succession. That's why I said that from the point of entry to the point of sustaining the business must be our goal. All right, let's quickly move forward a bit faster. I hope I'm still with people, or people are still with me. I hope I'm not taking a stroll on my own. If you are still with me, can you do a yes in the chat room, please? We are 28 here. I will assume we have the officials at 5 of them, so I will expect to see 23. Yes. Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, so what do we then do to attract the best of hands, or what we want, or what we need, what we think that can get us to where we want to get to? Number one, there must be that vision, values. Okay, again, like I said, in your onboarding process, or even before you go look for people, you must be able to have. It must be clear. What's the vision of the business? Sometimes you find it difficult to even understand what the business is all about. Even when you go on social media, we encourage people that are preparing for interview to research the business. Sometimes it's find difficult. And then so you just now begin to consult people that feel that worked there before to ask them. But we must have our values, and that must be clearly stated. All right. Then we build an employee-focused culture, which is another thing. Let your culture be tailored around your employee. Remember, culture is the total way of life. So every business does have their own culture. Let it not be hidden thing. Let it be very clear. Let people be able to say this is the culture here. But you see, because again there's sometimes some shady things that happens around. So sometimes it does look like we don't also expose ourselves. For clients we work with, we try to let them know, look, the culture is like a smoke. There's no way you want to hide it. Because people have passed through this system. If a business is 50 years old, there's no way people don't have an idea of certain culture that are passed through. Even if the culture are refined, people will still know. So we must be able to clarify that. Then get out, meet people online, connect online. See, again, how do we get people? Different platform, different model, different approaches we could use. Okay, but possibly we look at how do you recruit people. We look, vacancy announcement. We look what we call head hunting. Okay. We look at all sort of referrals, to get the best of hands, and that works, Then they build an employer brand, Let your brand stand out. You see, like I said earlier, 3 sets of people that are very crucial to every business: the owners, the management, the shareholders, the employee, and your customers are key. All right. So, how does the potential employees, talent, how do they see the brand? Okay, because it speaks a lot. Your staffs, your employee are your brand. They are part of your brand image. Okay, so then create opportunity to grow, career growth. Let's also be conscious of the fact that people need to grow. All right, sometimes we might need to shove people, move people around different sections, different departments, let them change. Because I mean, one of the things one of my fear, and usually I feel a bit emotional for those in the banking sector, is that a lot of them stay too long on certain role. Okay, and then by the time they pull out of that sector, so quite a number of them, it's always challenging to pull them or plug them into that sector. So I think we must be intentional as people manager to see how we can help them navigate around the whole system to learn one, two, or the. Or again, I will say to us, look, be intentional about it too. If the system is not providing it, you be deliberate about it. Try to know something about the other nature, other department, about other works. It doesn't make you to be idle, but try to know, interact, engage, because it also help you to build and expand your knowledge of your business and also grow your career. So talent development should be a top priority, okay, for any organization. And this is because organization performance is directly proportional to the skill and capability level of our workforce, which I have established earlier. All right, so let's quickly look at this. All right, so I said that talent development then must be done on, and employee skill and competencies can and must be developed. All right, it's very crucial again. Development framework must be customized, so we must be able to define the framework from point of entry. Again, from point of entry, what the journey is going to look like, because talent development must be geared towards succession plan, which I've also emphasized in the course of our discussion. Again, I say it is possible. All right. You've heard about talent management framework, okay? So I believe in building what works for the organization. So what are the framework we can adopt or we can work with? Let me quickly show us a few. All right. Number one, you say the points here should be considered in developing your framework, align with strategic business goals. Now, and again, I want to emphasize, when we say the HR strategic business partner, every decision we make must be taken from the point of the strategic direction of the organization. So we as people, managers, we must have it at the back of our hand. What is the strategic direction? If you don't know it, then ask. Ask so that every of your decisions will be tailored towards that direction. Otherwise, we will be on our own, and the organization will be on its own. And when you get to the board meeting or get to those kind of meetings, and they will ask you, why do you think this is the best way to go? Because you have not aligned it to the decision. So you see recruitment, onboarding, employee performance, the management, the training development, succession plan, and total reward. All of this also will enhance and keep your skills. All right, and those are the things that also I'll be able to put here in this graphic talent management landscape, to which you can go through when you have your slide. I just want to get to a part of it. So talent strategy, which I say that talent management is the full scope of the HR process to attract, on board, develop, engage, and retain your high performer. This means that talent management is aiming improving business. So the strategy at the end of the day, we have what we call the business strategy. We have got marketing strategy. So we are talking about talent now, which also will be an upset and an aspect of the HR strategic direction. Okay, so we must be conscious of this, and then how do we do it? Now, this is it. A talent management strategy is the plan of actions. All right, to optimize organizational performance. Now, this means optimizing performance in the broadest sense. It could include a plan to bring people up to speed faster. Now, the business environment is foggy. The volatility is there. The uncertainty is there. All right, a lot of things are happening right now. Okay, so for us to, as people's manager, we must be able to align with some of those vulgar challenges. So when we look at that, then we look at how do we bring people up to speed, especially when you look at your business, for instance, and it's rather that there's need for you to close up the gap between your operations and technologically driven business. What do you need to do? Where do you start from? So you need to begin to define or design a process that, this first set of people that are exposed more to the public, or people that are exposed to certain systems. And I like somebody asked a question earlier that, look, I want to train my technical team on some certain machines. And I've said to a lot of people, look, the machines that are evolving now are some of the employees. Excuse me. When we do certain recruitment, they said to us, they need one certain engineer. They need certain. I said, look, let me tell you the honest truth. We may have a challenge in closing these roles. And the reason is because some of the machines you have brought on board are more advanced than some of these people are used to. And so what I would say is that, can you let us work with the basic knowledge of this machine, bring them on board, then train them on this new machine. Now, they have experience of certain machine, they have certain skill, but they may not have the depth knowledge of that particular machine. Just do some few hours training, but they want people that have used that machine before. We will always struggle. So that's one of the things we must do. How do we bring people up to speed? A lot of things are happening. All right. So identify the gap, like I said, to and provide some resources also, which is very important. Okay. And then actively train people to develop lacking skill. That's where you engage employees. When you engage your employees, you know, of course, I know the understanding will also be there. There are people that have been trained, and I'm trying not to use the word jackpot here, but I think I cannot escape it. All right. There are people that have been trained, all right, and they have to, you know, to exit too. Yes, that will be there. But I said to people, will you rather prefer not training them, okay, and then not getting the best of your operation or your system, than training them and be afraid that they would leave? The truth is that someone will have to leave at the end of the day. But you can also be more intentional about the training you give. Okay, and I know, I'm aware of so many funny, agreement people have had to sign, so many funny bonds because they are trained, they have to work for the next 5 years, and all those are there. But the strategic direction of the business will determine a lot of strategic decisions to be made. So we have to still make the decision. Now, retain them by staying productive longer. Now, let me say this again as I close this particular part. Look, when you place people on training, when you expose them to training, engage them on the skills they have acquired. Let them have opportunity to utilize that training. Then give them, even within a department, that could still be a possibility for career growth, based on responsibility, based on change of roles. It could work. So again, as people manager, it's part of our responsibility. So what are the things you can do? And I share a few templates here that you can work with, as people's manager. I say here, number one, what are your strategic priorities? That must be determined, that must be emphasized. Okay, so these are key in selecting your focus for HR. They answer questions: should we prioritize sales or marketing? And like I said earlier, as HR people, partner in the business, we must have that the lens of looking through the whole system. We must occasionally do that. Do your, what I would call, the intelligent analysis of the whole system. Okay, even when you are not going to implement it immediately, you have it, because it's going to help you to also know what decision to make at a certain point. Let us not wait until we are prompted by the top management, say, look, we need to do this, we need to do that. We can also contribute and bring some strategic, innovative decision to the table. Connect talent management practice to strategic priority. I've also emphasized this, and this is very, very important for us. Okay, then HR process required to implement and maintain capabilities, which is another thing that I've also emphasized. Because when you have trained, when you have exposed them, how do you ensure that you're able to maintain them, maintain that capabilities in the system? And again, create room for, how do I put it now? Those that you have trained, create room for them to be able to pass on the knowledge. All right, some of these things too, are part of cutting costs. Okay, even though some of us that are consultants would like you to always engage us all the time to come and train. But the truth is that you can also cut costs as an HR, as people manager, to say, look, you have gone for this training. Now, let me organize about 5 people. You are going to pass on this knowledge and training. Let them walk around that person, attract the knowledge, and then that can be good. Because they feel impressed, they feel happy. All right. And I remember when I got on one of my employment, my superior just take me around and then was sharing some knowledge with me. It's been in the system for about 15 years before I joined. And he was sharing some knowledge with me, and that helped me to balance off in the system. So there's nothing wrong when you bring the old hands in the system to the new hand in the system, and then they can cross-fertilize idea. It also helps, and it saves us some level of cost, because you can't buy experience. You can't. And experience really is not your own experience. One is your own experience, is your own reality. Experience is the experience of other people, and that's why we say you learn from experience. If it's your own experience, it's your reality, no longer your own experience. All right, I hope you are still together. Okay, as I wrap up, I want to make sure that I work with that. Now, this I will just quickly mention that what you can do, drivers of, like I said, of strategy. I said quality leadership, workforce composition, employee loyalty and tenure. Employee loyalty and tenure decreasing. Business challenges, okay, those are one of the things that you can look at, and the driver, you can look at that there. What employee expect from the companies, all right? So you can look at this. We say interesting, challenging work environment. If you look at someone like me, for example, when you make me to be doing some things monotonously, I get exhausted out. The inspiration is not there. But if you give me, yes, I know, say, a lot of us say we can work under pressure. Now, working under pressure is different from working on challenging tasks. Because challenging tasks will only broaden, we expand you, we make you to do more, make you to go beyond your certain limitations, all right? So, but we can always create that environment. Now, so let that be communication. You know, somebody was telling me yesterday, look, it's very difficult to approach my boss. There's no conversation with us. It's always tough for me. There's no way that person can grow or can learn. You will frustrate that person. I think you get another hand or another talent. You will still frustrate that person if that system exists. Now, tools opportunity for growth must be deployed. Realistic performance. Now, more importantly, we call the 360 performance evaluation. In my own system, I allow you to assess yourself. Your superior assess you. Then the other levels assess you. Let everybody assess you, so that it will not be too concentrated on one hand. Let that happen. Secure environment. Of course, you may not have 100% soundproof secure environment, but let that be assurance that, look, this system, you have opportunity to grow, you have career projection here, and then let that be work-life balance, okay? Involvement in decision making. Look, no matter how small, entrust your employee, entrust your talent to be able to make some contribution. Sometimes work with whatever they suggest, and that brings some morale, all right, and make them say, oh, I'm a part of this family, truly and truly. Equitable benefit, non-monetary reward and recognition, portable pensions, which is very important, okay, and then maybe insurance and all that things, okay. So I said improving that, say, rather than focus on acquiring and retaining talent survey organizations support their key employee on the issue they care about, doing work that engage them. I've said that earlier. Learning how to do it even better, encouraging fresh challenges, interacting with people in positive way. The talent strategy service offering to help organizations identify, deploy, and so all of those things are very, very, very crucial. Thank you, and I hope you'll be able to get some insightful, knowledge from this. I'll be waiting to hear questions from you. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.